Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All
All
right.
right. Shalom. Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostle and those a great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Got the Elder Yatazak here, and I'm the brother Aina from GMS Dallas. And we're continuing the series of Second Samuel. Right now, we're going to be going into chapter 8. And in the previous chapter, we talked about how King David built a house, for the Lord. And pretty much he, I'm sorry, he didn't build a house, excuse me, but he received instructions for basically what was going to come for that house being built. Okay. He brought the Ark of the Covenant into the city and basically received instructions on how the Lord was going to establish the house, okay, or the temple in this city that David had built, or excuse me, that David had set up, okay, as the capital of all Israel. Okay, so now we're going into the military campaign of David as king of all Israel, and we're going to see total domination. Okay, and as a matter of fact, before we get this first scripture, I want to get this precept here in Psalms 147, I believe. Okay, actually, you know what? That's a good one, but I'm looking for actually Psalms 149. Okay. This is Psalms 149 and verse 5. It says, "Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds." Now, pursuant to Psalms chapter 50, okay, the saints are those that made a covenant with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai through sacrifice, okay, out there in the wilderness. And that's talking about the Israelites, okay? It says, verse 6, "Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand." Okay. Now, this is talking about when the Lord sets up the kingdom of heaven. Okay. Before the all the nations are subdued, there's going to be a period where there's going to be submission. Okay, that needs to be enforced, and the Lord is going to set up certain of His men to be those weapons of war. Okay, those battle axes. Okay, and so it says in verse 7 to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. Okay, so the heathen are the other nations, and there's going to be times where they may buck up during that period of paradigm shift, if you will, which Yahushua is going to come and bring that. Okay, he's going to come and bring that salvation to the Israelites, and he's going to bring that judgment to the other nations. You see, and it says their kings are going to be bound up with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, man. So that means that they're going to be in captivity. They're going to be under subjection, under the authority of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay. And so it says, verse 9, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. Okay. So there's a specific judgment written for the heathen. Okay. Esau, the Hamites, okay, Moab, so on and so forth. There's a specific judgment written for them, which is to be our servants, man. And that's an honor for the Israelites, okay, because again, that's a blessing to be rulers and kings over these other nations. Okay. So just to set that tone, okay, this is the spirit that David was in, what we're about to read in 2 Samuel chapter 8. Okay.
Just like when we were talking about before we turned the camera on, when you go through the parallels of Moses, you see, when you obedient to the Heavenly Father, even though you may have your faults in the flesh, when you obey the Heavenly Father to the best of your ability, He puts you in a position to succeed. At the end of the day, the Lord continues to move the finish line so that Israel can win. And call halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shah for that. But as we get through this chapter, you're going to see that the reason why David was able to conquer the way he conquered is because it was the Lord's will for him to do so. So keep that in mind, and also equate that to your walk. You see, those victories, whether they be big or small, in the spirit, is what the Lord is looking for. You see, so we to the point now to where our spirit should have more victories than our flesh. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's still an uphill battle, we have examples of men pleasing the Heavenly Father in the flesh, so we know it's possible. Let's go.
God, this is 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. It says, and after this, it came to pass, and you can see here the title of this, or the sub title would be David's Triumphs, right? Which can be read in 1 Chronicles chapter 18, pretty much parallel chapter with this chapter. It says, and it came after this, and after this, it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them. Now, keep in mind, he had already basically pushed back the Philistines out of the borders, if you will, of Israel. Okay, now he went into Philistine territory, okay, and basically put them under subjection. Okay, it says, and David took Methagama out of the hand of the Philistines. Now, when you look this up, this word Methagama is the mother city. Okay, it's the mother city is basically what it translates to, which I'm gonna get it right here. Strong's H4965. Okay, Mathag Ha'ama. Okay, or the mother city. Okay, which it says. Let's see, what was it? Oh, it says here, an epithet of Gath, which we know Gath is one of the chief cities in Philistia, or in of the Philistines, if you will. So that was like basically, if you got control of Gath, that was like one of their chief cities. Talking about the Philistines. So going back here. It says he took Gath, or Methagama, out of the hand of the Philistines. So he basically took their capital city from the Philistines, and basically after he did that, he had complete control. He had them under subjection. Okay, and the scriptures say that there was war with the Philistines all the days of Saul. So basically, David did in a few years what Saul spent his whole basically rested his life as a king trying to do. Okay, but the Lord was with David over Saul, so that's why the Lord allowed David to do these things.
Right. Okay. And keep in mind that based on the history and nothing being new under the sun, you see Moses had to deal with Pharaoh. David had to deal with the Philistines. You know what I'm saying? The scriptures tell you that the Lord made a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. So that you notice that battle continuing. You see, so David had to deal with the modern day Pharaoh, pretty much dealing with the Philistines, just like Moses had to deal with Pharaoh. You see, yep. and at the end of that battle, at the end of those wars, it led Moses to the promised land, even though he didn't get to go in. Just like David subdued all his enemies, but he didn't get to build the house of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
See, go ahead.
It says, verse 2, and he smote Moab and measured them with a line. It says, casting them down to the ground, even with 2 lines, he measured he to be put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. So it says, and so the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. So
get down or lay down. Right, the Lord put a get down or lay down spirit on him, and you're going to continue to see that spirit throughout the rest of this chapter.
Yeah, come on. Yeah. Hey, and where is this in one of the transgressions that David had? This isn't listed as one of the things that David one of the sins that David committed. Okay, but you'll have Christians that'll tell you that, love your neighbor, love everyone. God is love, right? Well, then why did David kill 2/3 of all the nation of Moab when he had got them, under subjection. Okay, it says he took Moab and measured them. Okay, casting them down to the ground, kicking heads, pulling hair, casting them down to the ground, right, face down to the ground. Okay, and measured 2 lines to be put to death. Okay, and then 1 line to keep alive. So he put to death 2/3 of Moab at that time, man. Okay, and made the rest of them bring gifts and made them servants, man. But people want to think that basically we have to find a way to measure up to these heathen, when this is the history that Esau doesn't want you to know. Okay, that a so-called Negro, King David, who was of the tribe of Judah, which is now acknowledged as so-called Negroes, he was putting Moabites to death, and Philistines. Okay, which Moab is a modern day Chinese. Okay, and if you go to this map here, which we can bring it up, we got the Bridgeway commentary. Okay, it's a little bit pixelated, but you can see Israel. Okay, if you're familiar with geography, you know that Israel is situated in the Middle East on the Mediterranean Sea. Okay, and then you have Moab to the southeast. Okay, the borders of Moab, which we had another map, but I X'd out of it. I shouldn't have. I think I X'd out of that detailed map that I had. This one might not have it. Either way, we talked about Gath, right? The Philistines were subdued, and David took Gath. Okay, and then you had, it's not on this map, but the Moabites will be to the southeast. So all these nations that you see here, okay, round about Syria, Ammon, Moab, Edom, the Philistines, they were subdued, man. Okay, and I'm gonna read a little bit of this commentary. It says, to emphasize that the Most High was strengthening the royal house of David according to his promise. It says the writer gives a summary of David's military victories. David conquered the Philistines and the Moabites. Okay, it says then expanded north across the Syrian state of Zobah, and even took control of the central province based on Damascus. Okay, so he extended further north, and which we're about to read. Okay, let's go ahead and read that. Okay, back in 2 Samuel chapter 8 verse 3, it says David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rehob, king of Zobah, which we just read. It was a province of Syria. It says as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. So that's why it brought this map here. You can see, okay, the Euphrates River. Okay, the Euphrates River here is the border. This is the true, basically, border of Israel, if you will, extending to the Euphrates River. Not just like if you go on Google Maps, the state of Israel is small, but this is the true border all the way out to the east. All the way out to the east. It extends way beyond this image here. And there's a bunch of other maps on this website. I'm on BibleHistory.com. There's a bunch of other maps, but you brothers can look into the geography and see how far out that extends. So he ran into some Syrians on the way, and it says that he smote them, right? It says in verse 4, and David took from him 1,000 chariots, meaning horse chariots. They had, the horse would pull the 2-wheeled chariot where, you have people, behind them pulling, the horse would be pulling the people behind it, right? It says, and 700 horsemen, okay, and 20,000 footmen. So he basically stole, like he overtook them and made them what's the word? Is the word mercenaries? I think you could say that. Like basically,
traveling soldiers.
yeah. He basically overthrew their army to the point where they had to either surrender or be put to death. And he, basically said, "Hey, look, y'all are under me now. Y'all have to be subservient unto me." That this is a summary of David's triumphs, right? It says, and David hewed all the chariot horses, but reserved for of them for 100 chariots. Okay, so he minimized their army, so to speak, their military power. So
I got mercenary for you.
Con.
Yeah, based on the Google, a mercenary or mercs, sometimes also known as a soldier of fortune or a hired gun, is a private individual who joins a military conflict or personal profit, and otherwise an outsider an outsider to the conflict, and is not a member of any other official military.
Yeah. So basically, they were prisoners of war. You know what I mean?
I said David was a mercenary when he was on the run from Saul.
Exactly. Yes. That's Yep. And so he was David. This is proof, man, that David, was a man of war, man. Okay, and when you continue on, and hold on, wait. So people try to say, "Thou shalt not abhor Edomite," which really that's a clerical error, talking about Aramite. Okay, or an Aramia is the Hebrew word, which is Aram. The nation of Aram is Syria. Well, here you have David fighting against the Syrians, man. Okay, so you got people trying to say, "Oh, you're not supposed to hate an Edomite and all this and that," which really that's a clerical error for Syrian. Okay, but here you have David taking over the Syrians. Okay, which shows you that basically David was a righteous man, even though he took over the Syrians. Now, the Syrians were, like kind of like distant relatives, if you will, of Israel. Okay, but that didn't stop them from being against us. They're still counted as a separate nation. They're not the chosen people.
Hey, you remember how Laban tried to do Jacob, and Jacob had the Yikwabi.
Mm-hmm.
See, that relationship goes back to that too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
I said that was Jacob was his nephew. That didn't stop him from trying to get over on him.
Yeah.
So you can liken that relationship unto nations later on down the line.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So and we did have when we continue reading, like if you read First Kings, like King Solomon, he had dealings with the nation of Aram. He had dealings with the Syrians.
Mm-hmm.
But some of them we had to go against and fight against, right? So 2 Samuel 8:5, it says, "And when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor Hadadezer, king of Zobah," so basically Damascus, and this, you brothers can go and look into different maps. Damascus is a city that's situated north of the borders of Israel, if that makes sense. It's far up north. So that's, Syrian territory. You can see it says Syria and then Aram, which is the same. That's the Hebrew name. That's how you say Syria in Hebrew, Aram. Okay. So basically you had another group of Aramites or another group of Syrians that came to the aid of Hadadezer, who was also Syrian, and basically David dusted him off too, right? It says, "And when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor," which to succor means to basically help. To aid or to help. What do you say, Saquon?
Help.
Yeah, exactly. They came to the help of Hadadezer, king of Zobah. David slew of the Syrians 220,000 men. So 22,000 of them.
Get them off the planet.
Yeah.
Yep. Get your ass off the planet.
See? So and we were on the chat, we were talking about genocide, right? Let's get the definition of that genocide real quick. Let's see, define. Okay, genocide definition. Let's see here. Damn, okay, here we go. Merriam-Webster dictionary. It says the deliberate and systematic destruction of a racial, political, or cultural group.
Get him off the planet.
You see? So David was, not only was he racist, but people try to people try to get on people that have committed genocide. Okay, well, guess what? David committed genocide too, but this wasn't listed as a sin or a transgression in the eyes of the Lord. Okay, this says David's triumphs, man. This is what David was doing to subdue the nations, and again, this is coming back, man, on the planet Earth. Okay, believe it or not, because Esau tried to do that to us. Not tried to, he succeeded. He systematically destroyed mass population of the Northern Kingdom, man. When he came over here with his doctrine of discovery, right, and basically manifest destiny. Okay, it is our duty to conquer this whole new world. That's the mindset that Esau came over here with. Okay, and he systematically removed the Northern Kingdom, talking about the so-called Native Americans, right? And also the Latinos, which they're all native to this land, North and South America and Central America. Okay, he came over here to the New World, and he systematically systematically destroyed the racial group of the Northern Kingdom, man. You see? And then he brought the Southern Kingdom, which is the so-called Negroes, okay, over here, and also the so-called, which is, the same thing, but the West Indians, like, the tribe of Benjamin. He brought us over here and systematically destroyed us over here as well. But nobody wants to talk about that. Well, guess what? David is listed as a righteous man after the Most High's heart, but he slew thousands of other nations, man. Okay? And that was to expand, as it's written here in the Bridgeway commentary, to strengthen the royal house of David. The Most High allowed him to do that according to his promise. Okay, so going back here, 2 Samuel chapter 6, it says, then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus, and the Syrians became servants to David and brought gifts. So you got the Philistines, you got the Moabites, and now the Syrians. That's three nations. Okay, they are all servants and gifts, bringing gifts to David. Okay, it says, and the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, preserved David whithersoever he went. Because we read in the last chapter, okay, last week we went into how the Most High promised that he would establish David, the house of David, man. Okay, and this is exactly what we're seeing here. Okay, so when we read scriptures like Amos, the 9th chapter, where it talks about the Lord is going to raise up the tabernacle of David, this is part of that, man. Okay, the other nations being under subjection. Okay, this is 2 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 7. It says, then, and David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. You see, it says, and from Betah and from Berothai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took exceeding much brass. Okay, so these are some of the things that were used to increase the wealth of Jerusalem. Okay, and I'm gonna get a precept actually. Let me get a precept. Okay, this is actually I'm gonna read a couple more verses before I get that one. Let's get this one here. Okay, you know what? I gotta wait. I gotta read a little bit more to get these two. Let me continue on. Second Samuel chapter 8, verse 9. It says, when Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer, then Toi sent Joram, his son, unto King David to salute him and to bless him. Okay, now I believe Hamath is also a city of Syria as well. Okay, but they were pretty much, well, it explains it, right? It says Toi sent Joram his son unto King David to salute him and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and smitten him. For Hadadezer had wars with Toi, and Joram brought with him vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass. Okay, now let's go ahead and go to the commentary and get a little bit of this here. All right. This is continuing on in the Bridgeway commentary. Another Syrian state, Hamath. Okay, see, so this is another Syrian basically state, like it says, right? Like not all of Syria was just one big conglomerate. Some of them fought amongst one another. It says they submitted to David without a fight. And it says Israel rapidly grew prosperous with the wealth it received from these and other conquered states. Okay, so this lets you know that it's going to be so quick, man. It's going to be so quick that power transfer. Well, let's get that real quick. Second Ezra chapter 6, man. You know, I want to keep the precepts going, even though a lot of this is kind of like a narrative. Still, precepts come to mind, man. This is Second Ezra chapter 6, and this is going to make more sense too. As we read, this is Second Ezra 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So you see how the Lord allowed for David to take over this nation, that nation, the other nation, the surrounding nations. Okay, and then there's one more major nation that we haven't read about just yet, that David in this chapter is gonna subdue. Okay, and that nation is Esau. Okay, now in these times, right, we're in the end times. Esau is in rulership. Okay, and it says Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So that new kingdom of heaven that's going to be established is going to see the house of David rise up, okay, and take over under Yahushua, of course, under that order of Yahushua. We're going to be taking over the wicked, man. And Esau is going to be a part of that, man, because he's the most proud nation on the earth. Esau, he's the proudest. Okay, so this is something that's very beyond his comprehension that could possibly happen. But that's why that victory is going to be so sweet.
Yep. Edom, Ham, and Moab, conquering them, brought forth the song of Moses. Man. Moses did it when he conquered them. David did it when he conquered them. You know what I'm saying? Fast forward to now, the house of David is about to conquer the house of Esau through Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It's the same cast of characters, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I'm gonna read to verse 14, and I'm gonna get these two precepts. It says, and also too, think about it, like when when King Solomon started building the temple, he had all this gold and all this treasures. A lot of that was coming from these military campaigns that David was doing. He was subduing the nations and bringing all of those riches into the city of David, which is Jerusalem. Okay, it says verse 11, which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord. You see that with the silver and gold that he had dedicated of all nations, which he subdued. So they were amassing wealth as this was happening. Okay, it says verse 12, of Syria and of Moab and of the children of Ammon, and the Ammonites are the modern day Japanese. Okay, and of the Philistines and of Amalek and of the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rehob, the king of Zobah. So the Amalekites is a tribe of Esau, if you will, okay, which had slightly different, land possessions at certain times. They were taking over, okay. In verse 13, it says, "And David gat him a name when he returned from smiting the Syrians in the Valley of Salt, being 18,000 men." So David already had a name amongst Israel. David slew his thousands. I'm sorry, Saul slowing his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Right? He single-handedly took down Goliath. Right? As a young man, because the Lord was with him, and now David pretty much cemented himself in history throughout all the nations, being the one that was able to take over all of these nations. Now, keep in mind, Salaki, go ahead, Zaquan.
Now, when you get a chance, look up name in verse 13. You can finish your point, Salaki.
Yeah, so keep in mind, up until this point, there wasn't really a nation that had just got control over all the other surrounding nations up until this point. So we talk about the Babylonian Empire, and the Assyrian Empire kind of did it, but it didn't take over Judah, so it doesn't count. The Babylonian Empire, they ended up taking over all Israel, right? The Medo-Persian Empire, which was larger than the Babylonian, and then of course came after that the Grecian Empire, which was even larger, and then of course we all know the Roman Empire. But before all of that, it was the Israelite Empire here, if you will, which really you could say is it was just the rulership of Israel, man. Okay, and that shows you that we fell from that what's the word? Good grace with the Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, to where he split it all up. Okay. So let's get that word name. In verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It says, David got him a name, which is Shum, Strong's H8034. And it says a name, reputation, fame, and glory.
Yep.
So yeah,
just like the name of the Lord put his name on David. You see, David was a man after the Most High's heart. So that name, that was the fame of the name Yahweh. You see, David got his name up in the earth. You see, because the Lord promised him that he was going to make his house, that he was going to bless his house. What's it when you go from the 14 generations? Matter of fact, let me type that in real quick. When you go into them 14 generations, it goes from Abraham to David to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? What's this? Matthew 1:17. It says, so all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations. You see, that's still that line. That's still that line, that chosen line, right? So all the generations from Abraham to David are 14 generations, and from David unto the carrying away into Babylon are 14 generations. And from the carrying away into Babylon unto Hamashiach Yahushua are 14 generations. It's still dealing with Adam to Abel to Seth, Enoch or Faxad, Noah. You know what I'm saying? Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. It's still talking about that same family going from the sons of God transitioning into Yashala when Jacob wrestled the angel. Letting you know that even though Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, when you look up that word plain man, it means a whole lot more than he just wanted to chill. You got it, bro.
Kind. Man, this is good stuff. Let me see. Salt pits. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and go back here. This verse that we're about to read, it has its own Wikipedia page.
Man.
This is 2 Samuel, and this is the good part about it, man. It's like, you got like Memorial Day and all these dumb, Edomite holidays coming up. Well, what about these are days that we should be memorializing and remembering But of course, we're taught by the devil. We're taught by our enemy and our oppressor.
This
So these
nigga got a Veterans Day. This nigga got a Veterans Day, but you got all these homeless and fucked off veterans. But they get their own day though. They don't get no benefits. They just get their own day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for getting your ass shot off for us.
Man.
Now get off my lawn.
Yeah.
And what I say, and the Lord being a man of war, he hates it when a veteran come home and is treated like shit. So that's something else this nigga got to pay for. Go ahead.
Yeah, hey, like the scriptures say, man, this is not our rest, man. So we gotta detach ourselves. Like some brothers may have gotten into the military. Esau, I'm talking about fighting for Esau's military. You don't want to, you don't want to be in Esau's military in these times, man.
Right.
And so I'm gonna continue on. This is what we're about to read here. Actually, we just read this verse 13. I'm gonna read it again, and then verse 14 as well. This is 2 Samuel 8 and 13. And David got him a name when he returned from smiting the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. Okay, now let's go to this Wikipedia deal. Okay, the Valley of Salt, or the Salt Pits, is a place where it is said that David smote the Arameans. Slaki, yeah, my eyes getting crossed and shit. Okay, Arameans.
You getting old, brother?
It says this valley is between Judah and Edom on the south of the Dead Sea. Okay, it says, hence some interpreters suggest the phrase, and he smote Edom instead of the Arameans. Let me see here. Okay, see, but they talk about this clerical error stuff in Wikipedia, which shows you that there are clerical errors, so I'll say that since if you go back here, we read about the Amalekites, okay, being basically subdued. Okay, so that's Edom anyway. Okay, so he put garrisons all throughout basically these other territories that he had captured. Now let's get that word garrison real quick, which we looked it up before, but let's look it up again. Strong's H5333. Natazayab, okay, or you could say Natazab. It says a garrison, something placed, a pillar.
Boy, he sure got to be a nigga, didn't he? Goodness gracious.
Say, Slaki, what says it, Quan?
I was thinking out loud. My bad. Just keep.
Oh, okay.
I heard Natazab and had a flashback.
Yeah, I knew that would trigger some. Yeah,
man, that would never caught me by surprise. Well, let's keep going, man.
It says something stationary. Okay. It says, i.e., for example, a prefect or a military post. Okay, so like I don't know. Think about like you try to enter into an authorized personnel zone, and it's
holding post at the camp.
Yeah,
you can't just come in there. No. It's pillars set up to watch out for that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. Like when you subdue an area, like David put garrisons, and just like America, they got garrisons all over the world. They call them embassies now.
Yep.
You see.
Yeah.
And those embassies or garrisons are set up to make sure that the will of the person that put those men in place plays out.
Mm-hmm.
See, we're gonna put garrisons in Edom, or we're gonna put garrisons in Moab to make sure they ain't eating rats or being homos and all this other stuff that they like to do.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So let's get a couple precepts real quick. This is Psalms chapter 60 and verse 1. It says, to the chief musician upon Shushan Neduth, Miktam of David, to teach when he strove with Aram Naharaim and with Aram Zobah, when Joab returned and smote of Edom in the valley of Salt, of 12,000. Now, this this Wikipedia deal says that it could be a clerical error. It could be, a rum where it talks about Edom because the Ra and the Da look similar. You can see here where it's written about that, right? And it could be easily confused. Either way it goes, David was smiting the nations, right? And so it says this is a specific psalm that was written, okay, during this time during this historical event, right? It says, O Most High, thou hast cast us off, thou hast scattered us, thou hast been displeased. O turn thyself to us again. Thou hast made the earth to tremble, thou hast broken it, heal the breaches thereof, for it shaketh. Thou hast showed thy people hard things. Thou hast made us to drink the wine of astonishment. Because you got to remember, we were constantly at war with the Philistines, man. A lot of Israelites, they weren't making it back home to their families when they went out to war with them. Okay. Also during the time of Judges, which wasn't too long ago prior to, we're talking about Samuel. Samuel was basically like one of the last judges. So all that history of these other nations having us under subjection, you go back and read the book of Judges, man, that was like recent history at this time.
Right. And outside of Edom, the Philistines, the Hamites are the ones that gave us the most hell. That's why they take from their books. You see, Esau is so drawn to Ham because Ham gave us the most hell. We had the most trouble with Ham. You see, but the Lord strengthened Esau and gave him that warlike mentality. You know what I'm saying? But he always goes back to Hamites.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hamites being who the Lord set them up to be versus Edom, and then you got Moab, who's just that's who Edom decided to deal with. So those three nations, you see them constantly come up.
Mm-hmm.
But Edom love that goddamn Ham,
man.
Con, you got it.
That's the dynamic trio right there. Mm-hmm. Esau, Ham, and Moab. Well, this is what the scriptures talk about these nations. It says, Gilead is mine, and Manasseh is mine. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm dropping down to verse 7, by the way, in Psalm 60. It says, Gilead is mine, and Manasseh is mine. Ephraim also is the strength of mine head. Judah is my lawgiver. Moab is my washpot. Mm-hmm. See, over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Philistia, triumph thou because of me. You see? So the Lord says that over Edom will the Most High cast out his shoe, man. Basically, that's like his rug. That's his, right now I got a rug underneath my shoes. You take your shoes off when you get home, right? That's like basically something that's beneath him. And again, a washpot. Let's get that word washpot real quick in the Hebrew. Okay. Strong's H5518. Sayar. It says a pot or a cauldron. Let's see here. Is there a scripture index? We in Psalm 60. Okay, a washing pot. You can see here. Okay, a washing pot.
You ever had a pedicure?
Man, yep.
Where they at when they doing your toes?
Man, in front of a wash pot.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Which is like it was going.
No, servitude. They gonna be served. They built to serve.
That's it.
They built to serve. So that's what they gonna do. Just like Issachar was hired, Moab the wash pot. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is.
That's right.
Don't let them all cook.
Man.
Or if you do, you make sure you provide the ingredients.
Man, for real.
You just give your ass a rat, a cat, a bat, you know what I'm saying? And mix it up in a hat.
Man, for real. Looking like Dr. Seuss ingredients, green eggs and ham. And shit. For real, man. There's another precept here. Numbers chapter 24 and verse 18. It says, oh, you know what? Hold on. We got some mention of Moab here. Okay, hold on. Here we go. This is Numbers chapter, let me see, chapter 24 and verse 17. It says, and these are the words of Balaam, okay, who pretty much was a heathen, but the Lord put the spirit on him to prophesy this, right? It says, I shall see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not nigh. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel. Now, this is talking about Yahushua, man. The same son, the only begotten son that was mentioned in 2 Samuel chapter 7. Okay. And these other nations are going to see Yahushua too, ruling too, man. You see? And that's why Esau is starting to get kind of nervous, because he's seeing, those dry bones come together, man. And those sinews and that flesh come upon those bones, being the understanding that was given back to us as a people, man. And that is a precursor towards Yahushua returning back on the earth, that's like the Thanos of Esau's rulership. Okay, like basically when Yahushua returns, when you read second Ezra chapter 13, it talks about how it ain't gonna be ain't gonna be no fighting against the Lord. It's not gonna be a fight. It's gonna be a complete domination, man. Okay. What's the DC version of Thanos? Dark Side. Yep. You see, when Dark Side come, hey, Superman can't stop him. All of the metropolis is in danger. You see? And so it says, continuing on, and there shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab, and destroy all the children of Sheth. Okay. So Moab ain't safe. Okay. All these other nations ain't safe. It says in verse 18, and Edom shall be a possession, and Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies.
That's what I'm saying. Let's talk about the people and the land.
Yeah.
You see, the prophecy say that the Edomites gonna be done away with, and their land gonna be taken over.
Mm-hmm.
You got it.
Con, it says, and Israel shall do valiantly. Okay, so that's that dominion. Okay, that's that rulership that's to come, man. That's why we want to be, another reason why we want to be on the good side of Yahweh Shem Yahshua. That reward, okay, for good behavior is going to be rulership. Okay, so let's continue on. We're almost done here in 2 Samuel chapter 8. All right, continuing on in verse, I read verse 14 again. And he put garrisons in Edom throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahshua, preserved David whithersoever he went.
And Edom, they wasn't indentured servants. They didn't choose. They didn't. No. They didn't choose. They were overtaken.
Mm-hmm.
Period. The house of David ain't with that Edomite shit.
Nah. No sir.
Get it out your head. That's what I'm saying. The scriptures do not agree with Edomites being saved.
Mm-hmm.
It don't say that they done away with. It says there's gonna come a time when they're gonna be done away with. Mm-hmm. You see, they're gonna be put in shackles, right? Starting with the nobles,
right,
and then during that time they're gonna be in captivity. In Isaiah 14, it says that the sons, the nephews, all the males will be done away with. They won't be able to rise up. They won't be able to do nothing. Obadiah said they're gonna get burnt to a crisp.
That's right.
And that's gonna be done. That's gonna be done on the orders of Yahweh, while Yahweh Shai, through King David on earth.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Go ahead.
Con. Yeah. Let me see. It's a good place. Oh man, all of these other nations, man, they ain't gonna stand a chance, man. I'm gonna get this real quick in Isaiah chapter 14 and 2. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors.
You know what I'm saying? The scriptures talk about the cup of trembling being passed from Israel to Edom.
Okay.
You see, The prophecy is what we bank on. You know what I'm saying? We're not just a bunch of mad so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. No. The Bible actually says that these things are gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Jump down to where it talk about the cousins and the nephews being cut off.
Mm-hmm. Yep, this is verse 22, Isaiah 14 and 22. Actually, I'll start at verse 21. It says, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Now, is that not what we just read? David was putting 2/3 of the Moabites to death. You see, for the iniquity of their fathers, which that's something you got to understand, reincarnation. Hey, the transgressions, and we read it last week or 2 weeks ago in I believe Deuteronomy 9:5, man. The Lord allowed us to possess the Canaanites because of their sins, man. You see? So the Lord has different ways that he enforces his judgment. It says in verse 22, for I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai.
That's it, man. You see? And that's what I'm saying. Matter of fact, go to Ezekiel. Was it Ezekiel 12 or Ezekiel 14, where it goes into the Lord is going to punish Edom by his people Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's get that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the thing. The Lord even gave us code words to where we don't have to say certain things. You know, Jacob want to talk about what they gonna do, and you got niggas with AKs and chokeholds and police tactics and all this shit, right? You got all these different things. That's not how Esau gonna get up out of here.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yep.
You're using those tactics on your own people. Jake, you know what I'm saying? Them dudes from IUIC choke the shit out of them dudes from IUPK.
Man.
You know?
Yeah, they was
the Lord said he gonna get Edom out of there on his terms. You know what I'm saying? Just like he got Cain out of there on his terms.
Mm-hmm.
12 and 20, Ezekiel 12 and 25 or something like that.
Okay, hold on. Well, 12 I think is talking about like people that do divinations and lies amongst our own people. Let me see. Yeah, talking about mostly Esau. Let me try to go for verse 14. I mean chapter 14. I think that's what you're talking about. Idolatrous elders condemned. Let me see. I know Ezekiel 28. Okay, it talks about how Esau.
It's 25. It's 25 and 13 and 14.
Okay.
Yeah, read 25, 13, and 14.
Okay, chapter 25.
Yeah, Ezekiel 25, 13, and 14. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, my bad. All right, Ezekiel 25 and okay, yeah, there we go. Ezekiel 25, chapter 13, it says, therefore, thus saith the Lord, I also will stretch out mine hand upon Edom and will cut off man and beast from it. And I will
go up a verse. My bad. Go up one more verse.
Yep. This is Ezekiel 25 and 12. Thus saith the Lord, Yahweh, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance.
Now keep in mind, Jacob and Esau, right? Mm-hmm. Jacob and Esau, they was fighting in the womb. It was prophesied that one nation was going to be stronger than the other, but they was going to be against each other. Look how David is treating them Edomites.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, David and Jacob, that's the same spirit for those who can receive it. God. You see? So that hatred that he had for Edom. Do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? Mm-hmm. Starting with Edom. I hate them with a perfect hatred. That comes from the scriptures.
That's right.
You see? We're not just making that up. So this notion that the Lord changed his mind, right? The Lord, the Most High don't change his mind according to Malachi. Yahushua, according to Hebrews 13, don't change either. But some kind of way, these devils done slipped out of the judgment that the Lord set up. No. The house of David is going to crush the house of Edom.
That's right. That's right.
All right, says, keep going.
Yep. It says, and hath greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh, I will also stretch out mine hand upon Edom.
I will say David is a prelude. the Lord stretched out his hand against Edom using King David.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And he's going to do it again in this time. Go ahead.
It says, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword.
Mm-hmm.
It says, and Teman and Dedan are cities in Edom, right? It says, verse 14, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, said the Lord.
Now keep in mind, when it came to Cain, the Lord drowned Cain out. You see? But when it comes to Edom, he gonna kick their ass.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He gonna kick their ass, put his foot on their neck, put them in slavery, and then burn them. That's right. What's gonna happen.
With his people.
In Isaiah 14, the cousins, the nephews, every swinging rod in Edom will be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Because man holds the seed.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna be able to reproduce nothing else after that.
Mm-hmm.
You got it.
Gone. I probably gotta head out here in a little bit. But we got a couple more verses here. This is 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 15. It says, and David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was over the host. Okay, Joab, of course, being the same Joab that killed Abner, but he maintained his military position, right? It says, remember, he was the one that secured Jerusalem. It says, and Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was recorder. So you had a scribe, right? It says, and Zadok, the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, were the priests. Okay, because you had Levites in every city that were meant to be the priests. It says, and Sariah was the scribe. Okay, so you had recorders and scribes, because you had psalms that were being written, and you had sayings that were being written down as well. It says, verse 18, and events also that were being written down. It says, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over both the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. Now, getting these two words, Cherethites and Pelethites, every time you see ites, it's not always talking about like a different nation. It could also just be talking about an occupation of people. So, for example, the Cherethites, Strong's H3774, Karathia, okay, which Karath means to cut. When you look it up here, I remember doing a Hebrew video on it. Karath means to cut or to cut off or to cut down or to destroy, right? So a Karath Yah, the Yah at the end makes it an ite, right? Like, or a cutter, like Israel is Yasharal Yah, an Israelite, I should say, is Yasharal Yah. Okay, so a cutterite or an executioner, which is what it is. That's what the Cherethites were. They were executioners. Okay, a group of foreign mercenary soldiers serving as a bodyguard for King David, also executioners, right? So also lifeguards, basically, you could say that as well. So if anybody needed to get put to death, while David was judging or whatever, the Cherethites would step in and do their job, right? And then you have the Pelethites, okay, Strong's H6432, Palathia. Now, when you get that root word Palath, it's swift, to be swift, okay? And so Palathia are the couriers. Now, you could say, when you look up the definition of a courier, somebody that transports commercial packages or documents. So basically messengers, okay? It says a collective name for the guardsmen of David. So you had executioners and guards, and then you had the couriers or the messengers, okay? And Jehoiada was over those men. Okay, and it says, and David's sons were chief rulers. So you had the sons that were mentioned in chapter 6. They were, rulers, including King Solomon and Absalom and others as well. So that's the end of that chapter. Zaquan, did you have any other closing points or anything?
Oh no, it was just the going from, like we said earlier, the Lord putting the spirit on David to fulfill his will. The Lord wanted David's house to be established. You know what I'm saying? And we seeing how the Lord did it. He put the spirit on David to be a warrior. He put the spirit on those men to follow him. He put the spirit on those heathens, you know what I'm saying, to want to go to war and be defeated and all these different things. You see? So it's the same thing with us. The Lord is setting these things up for us to be delivered out of here on chariots, man, by his son. We seeing it play out. We watching everybody else bug out, starting with Edom, you know what I'm saying, going down to the other nations. We watching Israelites lose their own mind too. You see, because 2/3 of them got to be destroyed. We seeing all these different things. You see, and we going back into these accounts. It's plain to see for those that have eyes to see and ears to hear. So call halal Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai for the understanding and being able to break these things down, from the apostles and elders on down through the spirit. You can go ahead and close us out.
God, I brought That was an edifying lesson. Lord willing, we'll continue on this series next week. With that, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Makal Kodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, and peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.